Hi everyone. First of all, I want to apologize for the long delay in progress updates. The reason is simple. My files got corrupted. I looked up many solutions online, but in the end, none of them worked, which left me feeling quite hopeless. However, I quickly pulled myself together and started remaking everything. With the experience I gained from the previous attempt, I believe I can do it faster and better this time. But I definitely need to figure out a way to back up my game data to prevent this from happening again. Before restarting, I took the time to reorganize my workflow. First, I clarified the effects I wanted to implement. Then, I created controllers to store these effects. After that, I linked and configured each interactive function one by one. I have to say, this remake has been very successful. Today, I'd like to share my development process with you. Since I was remaking everything, I decided to complete all the assets first and then implement one function at a time. This way, I wouldn't leave things half finished and I wouldn't forget how I did something when coming back to it later. I also redesigned the simple symbol from before into a scroll-like shape, making it more noticeable and visually interesting. Next, I imported my assets into the resource library and started creating objects. I set up colliders and connection points for each object before adding them to the object editor. The first step was to make the items disappear when touched by the player and then appear in the inventory. My approach was to create connection points in the inventory, each linked to a specific collectible item in the game. When the player touches an item, the corresponding connection point activates, displaying the item in the inventory. Then, I worked on selecting and placing inventory items into the quick access bar on the HUD. This step was quite complex. I had to set up many controllers to ensure that players could freely choose where to place items in the quick bar. Each slot in the quick bar needed a corresponding storage space for all possible items. The most important breakthrough in this remake was adding the ability to insert and remove items. I even implemented something I hadn't thought of before. When replacing an item in the quick bar, the old item swaps positions with the new one. This significantly improves usability and gives players more flexibility. I was really excited about this improvement. Finally, I worked on the ability functions for items in the quick bar. This part was relatively straightforward. I set up a system where using an item decreases its count, and once the count reaches 0, the item disappears. At the same time, an ability activation switch turns on. I then connected ability effects to the character's linked objects, setting the duration and effect behavior. Designing and implementing ability effects was the most enjoyable part, and I was able to complete it quickly. Now, let me showcase all the ability animations I created during this remake.